from, did I lose it? Nope, I didn't. Here it is. From a quote unquote comedian. I don't think she's funny, but
This is a day in the life of a childless woman. I wake up at 6 a.m. I remember that I have no kids to take to school, so I take an edible, masturbate, and go back to sleep. I wake up at 12:30 p.m. and get ready for a busy day of doing whatever the I feel like. I put on my most impractical and stylish shoes since I won't be chasing a child around the grocery store. I go to my fave spot in Paris to grab a croissant. I do a meditation sesh on the plane since I have no screaming kids, allowing me all the time in the world to become enlightened. The weightlessness of my existence has granted me superhuman powers. I teleport myself back home. Then I get ready for a night out with whatever hot guy I met on Raya that morning. I call up a babysitter and tell her that I don't need her since I still don't have kids. Now it's time for a workout, so I hit Mount Everest for a quick climb. I invent a time machine, go back in time, and kill Hitler.
Freeze, you bastard!
It's amazing what you can do when you have this much free time. And that's a day in the life of a childless woman.
So, I did not actually watch the video before I played it here. Gosh, how sad.
That's a wretched existence if I've ever heard one.
Really, like, what a desperate cry for help.
Yeah, and well, one, she's supposed to be funny. I don't know. Maybe I don't know comedy. Although I did watch a few comedy specials over the weekend and laughed my tail off. Like, they were great. There was nothing funny in there. And the day in the life of a childless woman, what it really is I stand in front of a camera and I try to find meaning because my life choices have left me bereft of any responsibility or meaning. I have no higher calling whatsoever. And I have nothing to show for my life, you know. Yeah. And she made a response video to this is, oh, as I scroll through these places that I've been, you know, I've climbed a mountain, I've done all this. I'm like, and yet you're still unhappy. Yet you still, there was a part of that video that was believable. It was the first couple things she said, which I'm not going to repeat, but it was the first couple things she said. That's the only part of that video that was believable. The rest of your day was spent in front of a camera trying to be funny and trying to find meaning to your life because your life has no meaning.
Right. And let's, Matt Walsh made this point. It was a very good one. Let's be clear. Chelsea Handler is not childless. She has had and murdered 3 children.
Mm-hmm. She was one of those crazy people that would wear a shirt like that I've had an abortion or whatever. Like, right. So no, you aren't a childless person. You're a murderer. You're somebody who has made sure that your life means nothing, because that's where she. What attaches her to reality? Okay, you have a big house, you have a successful career, you have a fancy car, you have a lot of zeros in your bank account, and you have no one to leave it to. Your life, for all intents and purposes, is meaningless.
Right.
You have no husband, you have no child, you have no one to pass anything. Why do all these things? Oh, right. Because it makes me happy. Yeah, you look real happy in that video. You look like a miserable 50-year-old woman is what you look.
And that's a mentality that needs to die. The most important thing in this world is not your own happiness.
No.
Not even close.
No, and like I like you said, that's a sad clip. And so life bereft of responsibility is a life bereft of meaning. Responsibility is good. Sacrifice is good. Suffering is good. Waking up early to care for my child is a good thing. You know, working hard to make sure that he has everything he needs is a good thing. And unfortunately, this mindset is very predominant in our society. That's why the childless rates are so high now. And that is bad. Just for all intents and purposes is bad. That's why Asia is starting to crumble. That is why their entire social structure is about to implode within itself, because they haven't had children and they have been bereft of responsibility. Responsibility is good. And so, you know, I'm glad that we're Christians. I'm glad we see the value of life. I'm glad that we see the value in first having a spouse, having a husband or wife. In our situations, obviously wives, that get you to heaven, and then raising children to also get to the
Right.
same place, to promulgate to a higher good, to a higher calling, to have a sense of purpose in one's life, to be able to drive and strive for something greater than yourselves. These are things that create happiness. Going out and clubbing until 4 a.m. and then not having to wake up till 10, that doesn't create happiness.
Right. And I mean, there anybody who is a Christian that needs to hear this from our generation, voluntary childlessness is wrong.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
I mean, it's
I
just
mean,
wrong.
obviously, some people can't have children, and every time I've talked to one of those people up to this point in my life of an older generation, why don't you have any kids? Their response is always, well, the Lord did not bless us with children,
Yeah,
because that's what they saw children as.
yeah, you
Now,
talk
maybe they
about all
didn't
this.
see that when they were in their early
Yeah,
20s. Maybe they didn't see that in their late teens. But when they got older, they saw the
right,
blessings that everyone else had with their children, and
right.
they didn't get to partake in that.
You talk
And again,
about
we don't have children to bring us happiness. We
right.
we have children, and a result of that is happiness, because we sacrifice, because we have responsibility, because of all those things.
You see people talk about all these things they get to do if they don't have a child and da 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 da. And me and my wife have struggled with infertility. We are now expecting, so that's an incredible blessing. Um, but that was sort of like that was something me and my wife talked about, and I was always very adamant that we look at that as like we can say things like that, okay, without a child, we get to have all this time together and we get to do all these other things that we might not be
Hmm.
able to do otherwise. But that is a consolation prize. Like that's not the goal.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a problem with the affluence of our society. If you live in a poor society, you have children because you need to have children.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, but uh, because we are able to make so much money and selfishly use that money, we argue with ourselves saying, okay, well, I'm not going to have children because I want to use that money for me. Um, we are ecstatic that we will now be able to go out and work and try to raise up a child in the way that they should go. That's it far surpasses, exceeds anything that we could enjoy, um,
Hmm.
just the two of us. So and to other people who struggle the way we struggled, like I understand. Like it's really, you see something like what Chelsea Handler is doing, and you understand, like my wife would look at that video and she would not be able to get over the fact that that woman passed up the opportunity to be a mother 3 times over.
Yep. Killed her children. She's
Yep,
not childless. She's a mother of three grown children
completely out of selfishness.
that she murdered. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
completely out of self. And that, I mean, there's so many problems with that video. And so there is a cheery note here. If you liked what you saw, which I doubt you did, you need to go see a psychiatrist. And if you're anybody else, make sure that's not you. Let that be a cautionary tale that you don't want to end up like a 50-year-old woman who has to fill her life with all of these meaningless things. You even saw the text message that, again, that's something I'm not going to repeat, but that is a meaningless thing. And that's not just Jeff and Stephen's word for it. Every scientific study says that women who are in marriages, not in relationships, not in live-in boyfriends, but women who are in marriages have more fulfilling sex lives, because that's the way God intended it from the beginning. So yeah, I mean, let it be a cautionary tale. Hey, let's have some responsibility in our lives. Responsibility brings happiness. Fulfillment brings happiness, and that's what God intended for us in our lives. Get married, have children, raise them up in the way that they should go. That is what we do. We serve a mighty God who has given us a natural function to have a purpose-driven life, to serve Him, and to be happy while doing it. It is a blessing to do those things, and we should be happy to do those things.